Hi class, welcome to Miss McKinney's Health Science class. Today we're going to be talking about lipids, aka fats. In our previous classes we've already discussed carbohydrates and protein, but now we're going to go on and move on to the third macronutrient, which is fat. Alright, so you're going to go ahead and follow along with me in the PowerPoint. Feel free to take notes as we go through this, and also hang on to those handouts that I already passed out until we get to the activity part, okay? So the objectives of today's class will be able to identify the differences between saturated fats and unsaturated fats. We'll be able to identify the health benefits and risk associated with the two. We'll be able to identify common foods that contain both types of fats, and then we'll be able to identify healthier options to reduce your saturated fat intake. Our SOL tasks include demonstrating critical thinking and problem-solving skills, defining the functionality of lipids, explaining nutritional guidelines and labels, and interpret food, nutrition, and menu labeling guidelines. Now remember, in one of the classes, we were taught how to read nutritional labels, so this is going to be a little bit of expansion on that, okay? So, what is fat? Like I said, it's one of the three essential macronutrients, and they provide it provides energy to your body. It actually provides 9 calories per gram that we consume, and there are two main types of fats. Okay, there's saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats do not contain a carbon double bond. Okay, they only contain single carbon bonds. And they are normally solid at room temperature, so things such as butter, but also fatty cuts of beef or pork or lamb. These are saturated fats are normally found in animal products. However, you can also find them in plant-based oils too, such as palm oil and coconut oil. And I'm sure you guys have heard of good fats and bad fats and cholesterol levels. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but in our next classes, we will touch base more on the role of LDLs, HDLs, triglycerides, and things of that nature, okay? But just know that saturated fat, we want to limit it to about 7% of our daily calories, okay? And when we consume too much saturated fat, it can increase those blood cholesterol levels. So it increases those LDLs, okay, low density lipoproteins. And what that does is that can cause heart disease, hypertension, and things of that. So it's very important to limit your consumption of saturated fats, all right? So now we're going to talk about unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats are usually room temperature, okay? So things like olive oil, peanut oil, avocado oil, okay? And the differences between those is that they have double bonds. They don't have those single carbon bonds. They have double bonds. And there are two types of, actually 3, but we will talk about that third one here in a minute. But unsaturated fats have 2 types. So you have polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. The difference between those is how many double carbon bonds are in their chemical structure. So poly, meaning more, are going to have more than one double bond. Mono, meaning one, is going to have one single bond in their chemical structure. Okay? So, polyunsaturated fats also contain omega-3s and omega-6s. And again, we'll talk about that more in our next lesson. But there's a lot of health benefits associated with with the consumption of unsaturated fats. So it reduces those cholesterol levels, and it protects against heart disease. Okay? And as I mentioned, we'll be able to make healthy substitutions, okay, to limit that saturated fat intake. All right, and so then there's a third type of unsaturated fat, and I'm sure you guys have heard of trans fats, okay? So we want to limit the intake. And fortunately, in 2015, artificial trans fats were actually banned in the United States. However, if a company made a product before that, and they have until 2021 to actually sell that product, okay? So after 2021, there should be no artificial trans fats on the market. But what trans fats is it's through a process called hydrogenation. And through hydrogenation, you're taking a liquid such as an oil and basically turning into a semi solid, okay, such as margarine, okay? You guys, very similar to butter, but that's usually through hydrogenation, okay? And it's due to the high temperatures. All right, so the health risks include heart disease, and it raises those LDLs, those low density lipoproteins. And so we want to go ahead and limit those as much as we can. But trans fats also occur naturally. And usually that's going to be in fried foods, okay? All right, so on this slide, we can go ahead and compare the chemical structure between the three. And we can see the saturated fats only have single carbon bonds, whereas the unsaturated fats have double carbon bonds. And then you will learn more about this in your chemistry class if you haven't already. But then in the trans unsaturated fat, you can see that there is a carbon bond, but it's trans, okay? So that's a type of bond. It's a trans double bond, whereas in this unsaturated fat is a cis, okay? A cis bond. So again, you'll learn more about that, but it's just it's important to just get a clear visual of the three, okay? All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and watch this quick little video. So I'll show this video to the class just as a quick recap, all right? And then we're gonna move on to our activities, okay? So with our first activity, you can see that we have, your first handout has chips on it, and it also has ranch on it. So let's do the chips. So the chips, we have classic Lay's chips, we have Lay's light chips, and we have Lay's baked chips. I want you guys to go ahead and take some time and highlight the total fats of each, and I'd like you to determine which one you think would be the more healthier given what we have already spoken about today, okay? And I'd like you to do that the same for the ranch, okay? So we have regular ranch, we have light ranch, and we also have fat-free ranch, okay? So I want you guys to go ahead and do that. And then on this other one, you'll be able, I have a list of common types of food, and based on your knowledge already, I'd like you guys to go ahead and come up with some substitutions for these items listed here, okay? So we have butter. What can we use instead of butter? Well, butter is a saturated fat. If we're frying something up, instead of frying butter, we can use olive oil, okay? And olive oil has a higher concentration of unsaturated fats, okay? And then the third handout is on the types of different fats, and that's for your own viewing. You'll be able to pull that out so you don't have to, just for a quick recap, okay? And then in my prop box, we're going to go through these, okay? We have peanut oil. We have olive oil. We have avocado oil. We also have canola oil, palm oil, coconut oil, and another type of palm oil, okay? So I'd like you guys to, I'm going to pass these around, and we're going to talk about each types of these, such as palm oil has 6 grams of saturated fat, but it also has 1.5 grams of polyunsaturated fat and 6 grams of monosaturated fats. So again, we're going to compare these, and I'd like you to determine which ones would be the more healthier option. All right, so I want to thank you guys, and I'm excited to see you guys next class, and we will talk a little bit more about cholesterol then, all right? But until then, be safe, be well, and thank you.